Welcome to the M3 Bearcast. My name is Malcolm Travers. In this episode, I speak with Terrard Robinson, who hit me up on Instagram a few months back, and we just began a conversation about podcasting. I had listened to his podcast before, and I was especially interested in his take on spirituality and communication. So I began the conversation just asking him about his podcast. We got into conversations about race and identity, and then his aversion to discussions about politics and why I was so attracted to politics. I look forward to having further conversations with him because spirituality is an area in which I want to investigate more. And I feel like a certain connection with him as he speaks very intelligently about spirituality and symbolic meaning in ways that I haven't really heard before. So this is just the first part of a longer conversation that I'm going to have with Tarrard over a longer period of time. I expect that we'll get into a host of many different issues in the future. So if you're subscribed to the M3 Bearcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen, expect to hear more of this conversation in the future. And now I bring you Terrard Robinson. We had a conversation earlier this week, and I just wished that I could have recorded it because it was just a inbox situation. So just tell me a little bit about why you inboxed me, and we can just go from there.
Sure. Well, being an openly same gender attracted, Black adjacent individual, not having obviously the kind of visibility that I needed growing up was something that I ultimately found in your media venture, in your enterprise. So I've been really supported by that. And the thing about growth and the thing about achieving a certain quality of self-esteem is that you start to create the kind of free energy inside of yourself that makes you want to engage in people that have helped you. So yeah. I was basically feeling myself. let me hit the homie up and see if I can contribute in any way. And you hit me up, and we had a really almost 3-hour conversation the other night about some things, and it was really impactful for me. And I guess like ever since then, it's just been really
it was cool. Good for me too, actually. Like I said, I had actually picked up on your podcast on Twitter. And I'm not exactly sure how, the algorithm, I guess we're both gay Black man of color, so I just, picked up on it. I was on Spotify. I listened to podcasts and I picked it up, so when you hit me up, I had already heard your voice before. So I was just like, you know what? Right there you go. Like I'm calling them, and we talked, and it was great. So I don't have any sort of direction to go with. So I guess maybe let's just talk a little bit about your podcast. How did you start podcasting?
Coronavirus boredom. Let's just be clear. I think that me living in Oregon and having to deal with differing levels of seasonal affective disorder, it was just a way for me to sort of like distract myself from having to deal with that. I didn't really have access to a lot of the therapy needs. And so just being the type of being a person who's trying to fight a supposed introversion. I'm not really an introvert. Over the past 3 years since living in Oregon and in this rural area, I've sort of accepted that. Yeah. And it's not the truth, but for a lot of different reasons I've had to, for a lot of preserving reasons, in my opinion. Yeah. But as a result of me sort of like feeling a little bit of loneliness and trying to reach out and engage with people, I kind of wanted to create a scenario where I could start inquiring in myself about who I am. Yeah. And what I came to the conclusion was that I'm obviously Black. I'm obviously gay. And I have to just say real quick, I try to make a distinction between gay because that word is very politically charged.
Yeah, all words are. Yeah,
right. But then like for me, the phrase same gender loving or same gender attracting, it affirms something more philosophical, something more spiritual. It's about
Yeah.
a certain realm of choice. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm obviously black. I'm
Hmm.
obviously gay. I obviously appreciate cannabis advocacy, so I'm
Yeah.
definitely a stoner.
Yeah.
And my first love is always music. So
Yeah.
because I'm a smart bitch,
Yes, you are.
I was
Yeah.
like, I could maybe do some sort of like with all the time that I have,
Yes.
working under 30 hours a week and having a pretty good pay and like just being a work from home to work from home to work from home
Yeah.
kind of dude. I was like, well, I'm gonna
Reach out.
black gay stoner music. I'm
Hmm.
gonna divide those up by the week per month weekly. And I have two really good friends, the Ism, who his name is Anthony, but he is a rapper that goes by the Ism, and my friend Tim, who goes by Vespertine.
Okay.
They are in New Jersey and North Carolina, respectively. But I asked them if they wanted to be involved in it, and so I scheduled them. And then I started synergistically. I started learning about podcasting
Yeah.
and like how to create. We discussed this too. How to
Yes.
create notes and how to create a sort of outline and timeline of things. And it just became really easy for me. So like after the second or third month, I realized that this was something that I wanted to uh, create as an adding piece to an album of music that I'm working on.
Yes.
So it just all kind of like
Blends.
came
Yeah.
together, and so it became a brand to sort of say,
Yeah.
what's going
Yeah.
on.
That's pretty cool too. And yeah. So I, I reached on it and I realized that I got on, listened, and I put it into my rotation, I guess you could call it. Like everyone has their listening rotation. So
Right.
my first impression was you was high as fuck.
I was so down.
And I'm a little jealous because I
I
live in
was so,
a I mean, I am living in a very restrictive state.
oh,
And
it's
it is
Georgia.
what
Georgia still ain't getting it together.
they ain't got shit. And I am struggling, dude, because I've been a smoker most of my life,
Well,
from
here's the
15.
thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And all I gotta say is USPS, I'll hook you up. Don't even trip. We'll
Yeah, we
talk.
got to talk after.
We
Yeah.
go we gonna talk. Okay.
But yeah, no, there is legalization happening. I guess just happened in New York, recreational use. And there's a conversation happening now about that in, the political sphere. Joe Biden might be progressive on a lot of things, but he's not progressive uh, on recreational use. He is progressive on the medical use of it. So this may be the point at which they deschedule marijuana on the federal level, which would be a big deal.
Do you think it's gonna happen? That do you think that's gonna happen?
Yes, I do. Yeah. It's widely popular. So first of all, you have to just go on that point that Republicans like making money. And just
Tell
it
the
just
truth.
happened in
Tell
New
the truth.
York. They're about to make about $4 billion from the tax revenue.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. $4 billion. Oh, okay.
That's
I might
not
be
that's not
down.
a
That's not a small amount of money
uh-uh.
per year. You should be noted. That's a lot. That's like a third of their annual, something like that. It's almost a third more money to their revenue, tax revenue.
Uh-huh.
So they are trying to allocate it toward uh, people of color, disaffected people. They're going to expunge people's records who have already,
Okay.
so that is really, positive.
I'm gonna
Uh,
say this.
mm,
And a few of my sort of white adjacent hold on, let me
mm.
get my shit together.
Yeah, get the
There we
mic
go.
to your
Okay,
mouth.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
there you
okay,
go.
okay. There
Yeah.
we go. A few
Yes.
of my white adjacent contemporaries, we've had this conversation about how this is sort of a correlation to like to a certain kind of repertory practice.
Yeah.
How and it's not being talked about as such, but
Right.
I feel like if that's the case, then we need to start having that conversation. We need to start
Yeah.
having that conversation about how this should be the beginnings of that discourse.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm cool with a whole bunch of Black people being able to sell and grow and distribute cannabis and cannabis
Right.
products, but when do we as an American society just discuss like the intricate obvious racism that's in the laws themselves, like the
Right,
fact that
of course.
we
Yeah.
suppose the racism before the actual like fixing of the racism.
Well, that's the thing though. It's like it's the message when, you know, certain people are not ready to hear that. So they literally callous over, they just harden to the idea that they're racist. You know, like saying a white person is racist is similar to it threatens them. It shouldn't. First of all, I'll just say that it shouldn't be that threatening because, you know, most, if not, I would say most white people are some degree of racist. So, like saying that the sky is blue shouldn't be threatening to anyone. It's just a thing. It's a thing. You are a white person in an oppressive white supremacist system. You're probably a little bit racist. Like, it's just by definition, just a little bit.
Can you see the space in between my fingers? Little bit.
Right, and it's okay. And I mean, deal with it. Like, deal with your shit.
But deal with it. But deal with it.
Right.
It's okay.
So it'll be all right. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, very recently I saw a meme of a white woman, late 50s, early 60s. She was old, you know, she had white hair. She was an older woman, and the person filming her was white too. All of the people around her were white. And one of the things that kind of freaked me out was so right at the beginning of the video, the context is apparently this woman being filmed said something racist or made some sort of racist remark to a group of people of color outside of Ulta or some sort of like makeup store, whatever. And the woman that's recording, she is, you know, she's laying it on her. She's calling a white woman, calling this white woman all kinds of Karens, and you should be ashamed of yourself, and how dare you, and all this stuff. And you know, at first watch, I was like, yeah, eat that bitch up. You know what I'm saying? Like, eat her up. But what, you know, the thing about the spirit and having a relationship to the spirit is that it will equalize things. It's about practicing a certain quality of compassion at all fucking times.
Right.
So, like, as I'm watching this woman being berated by all of these other white women around her, and that's fine. Y'all do what y'all do in y'all's communities. But
right.
I feel like there was a part of me that was like, that first of all, now, mind you, the woman that's being filmed, it looks akin to like demon exorcism. Like she looks like it looks because what
see that like
well, because you have to imagine. Well, you have to imagine it's like she is obvious. So she's obviously in a state of racist hierarchy. She's obviously that because it's being sort of like she's being reprimanded by that. So she's obviously
but what's very obvious. Yeah.
But what she's also realizing is that what she is doing is wrong.
Okay.
So she feels a sense of superiority, but also a sense of insanity. She realizes, and so the way that expresses itself, it looked like she was like, "Oh my god, why are you guys yelling at me? I just wanted to come and buy my food. Oh my god, I'm just like,
wow,
girl. So
calm down,
but and so in that case, you know, the same feelings that she's feeling, I'm feeling, because I'm feeling compassion for her, but I also don't give a fuck.
Oh wow, yeah. That's the same time. No, that is complexity. You know, that's the funny thing. I always talk about the idea that it is your feelings should be a little more nuanced. Like it's okay. Now, what's interesting is when you mention this scenario, is something I was going to bring up on one of my videos. I usually just like watch the news. I make a list of some ideas, and this just came up this morning when I was watching some of the coverage on Joy's show. Joy and Reed is one of the few shows on cable television I actually watch because I have disconnected mostly. But I like her show. I know, right? But she had
use your own mind. That's great. I
yeah,
like
no, I
that.
have
Good.
disconnected from her for most, but her show, I just like her, and brings me joy in the
I don't mean no
morning.
harm. Is she a sister?
She is Joanne
Okay,
Reed.
okay.
Yeah, she's great.
Okay.
And
Black women equal success. That's
yes,
just kind of how I feel. Like if you like, for example, and I don't want you to forget what you're saying, but like there was not one Black woman casted in the movie Godzilla versus Kong. Not
yeah.
one extra. I didn't see one sister.
Oh no, that's
so. What world is it? I'm seeing all these black men. I'm seeing all these black military generals. It's always this one black dude. Anyway. I'm like, where's my mama at? But go ahead.
So on her show, she had her analyst talking about the Derek Chauvin trial, and the fact that there were numbers of police officers who were scheduled to testify against Chauvin. And one of the things that came up was they questioned one of the officers and said, if you could sit in a room with Derek Chauvin right now, what would you say to him? And his thing is that I wouldn't sit in a room with him. Just like, this man disgusts me in a sense that I felt the reality of that. These sort of racist things that you were mentioning, this woman being berated by these other white people for being racist. I felt it was the same deal with police officers and their accountability. It has to come from within, like it can't, it's their issue problem. It's obviously affecting us, but it's the same deal with like racist people have to be brought to heel by other people within their group. Ultimately.
By other racists.
Yeah, it has to become a part, and the police officers have to fix it within themselves. And I think I'm not exactly sure the story behind why the department so vehemently went after Chauvin, because in the past they usually protect their own. And I'm not exactly sure what line he crossed. Was it just that he was on tape? Because that's happened before. Was it just because it was so blatant? Is it just like this moment in history? Is it, just him as a person? Like he's just such a dick that they couldn't protect him, or I don't know. But
I think, first of all, if we're going to have this conversation, there is a certain, I believe in social planning. Let me just say it like that. And I don't want this to sound in any way conspiratorial, because I don't mean it that way.
It's going to come off that way. Go ahead.
Okay. That's fine. See, and that's fine.
It's fine.
Because I still got to remind motherfuckers of Tuskegee. At the end of the day, it was 40 years.
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
From 1932 to 1972.
Yeah.
From 40 years. An entire generation of white lawmakers injecting people with syphilis. And I have to say this just to see what it would do.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a level of guilt that Paul Mooney says that real white man is really dealing with. And they pass that guilt down generationally. So regardless of if it has a historical context or not, it's still felt. It's still expressed, it's still practiced. Whether it's not as seen directly in law or not. And I think that I think that when it comes to, I wouldn't even say social planning, but this particular community has been waiting for something like this to happen.
Hi, thank you for listening to the podcast thus far. And I just want to talk to you a little bit more about what M3 is all about. The Male Media Mind is a grassroots organization dedicated to uplifting and unifying the Black Bear community through dialogue, insight, creativity, and knowledge. And we have 4 different live streams on our YouTube channel that get into communication, sex and relationships, spirituality, video games, nerd topics, a host of different issues. But at the center of it is always a focus on mental health and wellness. And I would like to invite you to subscribe to us on YouTube. You can also view a lot of content on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where we're trying to build community that uplifts and represents our community in a positive way and just to have fun. I really appreciate everybody who listens and participates in our conversations online, as well as in the chats for our live stream. So by all means, feel free to join us on social media and be a part of the M3 community. All right, now back to our conversation. So tell me more about that.
Well, I just kind of feel like when we talk about white guilt, and we talk about the assuaging of it, the clearing of it, that ultimately ends up having to be a person like my demographic. I have to be the one that has to be the overt Black apologist at all times.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, since honestly, since moving here to Oregon, rural exurbs Oregon. Okay, like when I moved out here, and I told you this, but like the first week I moved out here, there was a Confederate flag painted on the side of someone's house, like the whole side of the house was a Confederate flag. It ain't there no more. But dealing with that and having to deal with, again, the levels of fear, but also general compassion that you experience. And see, that's the thing. Black people have been told a particular, and this is really my point, Black people have been told a particular narrative about how to feel about being Black, about how to define themselves as Black. White people are a monolith. They are. Whether and the thing about it is, though, is that there are some who aren't a part of that monolith. There are white people who don't even like to use that language, just as much as there are Black people who don't like to refer themselves as Black, and for the same reason, because the language doesn't do us justice.
Right. Yeah, the sort of assumptions that come along with that. Yeah.
Right. So I think that at the end of the day, man, I see myself as I see the whole thing as, because see, here's the thing. I cannot pull a Rachel Dolezal. Okay.
Oh, that would be funny if you tried. I like to see that.
I could not pull a Rachel Dolezal. I could not, fake being white. I could not. I mean, I could maybe put on a hood. I'm just saying. I don't want to compare the NAACP with the KKK. But I will say this. But what I'm getting at is that I think that we have to start allowing our language to build people up instead of just divide. Because see, I come from a very rich Black adjacent tradition of Kujichagulia, Umoja, Ujima. The 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Like I have a historically sustainable Blackness that isn't defined by whiteness at all, and yet whiteness can only be defined by Blackness. It's how it's been historically.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
it's so
they need us to be Black in a sense. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
well,
true.
And I don't know if we talked about this the other day, but etymology is something that's very important to me as a spiritual person.
Yeah.
So when I take those words and I do the root work, so to speak, for Black and white, Black is an Old English word that basically boils down to mean to whiten or to bleach. So Black and bleach are very similar as far as like the way they're said and spelled and written. White, of course, means to be correct, absolutely, all the time. Yeah. So you have a group of people that are striving to be perfect all the time. Yeah, and that's at the detriment of any other group of people. And then you have a group of people who are striving to be like that. That is literally what it means to be white and Black in America.
It is interesting. Like, there was a book by, I think it was Eugene Robinson, who's
Robinson.
Yeah, he's a regular on MSNBC. I think he's a columnist for the Washington Post, and he lived a long time in Brazil. And it's interesting how socially you could, with the skin color you have in Brazil, claim to be white, and it would not be even second guessed, because if
I'm giving you the Uncle Ruckus eye right now.
I'm serious that there are Black people who, at least by the standards of Blackness in the United States, who are white, and it's not even like a claim of whiteness. They own their whiteness there. Like it's really weird. And the title of the book is From Cream to
Oh,
Coal. That's the name of the book.
wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the social construction of race in other cultures is very different. Yeah. And that isn't to say that it isn't real. It's just the way that how we perceive it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it sounds like there's a specific amount of morality attached to whiteness.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how they do it there. I mean, it's been a while since I read this book. It's been more than a decade, but I do remember just being absolutely alien to me in my experience. You know,
yeah, that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense to me.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Exactly, that don't make no sense.
Derek says, I don't think Joe is going to have much of a choice. I think the Republicans will push back to keep their religious base happy, but it is quickly becoming a money conversation. It always is.
Yeah, that's true about the legalization. It is true. Yeah, and Joe has come around on some issues. It is really weird
to be careful with Joe, man.
It is true, but he is just kind of. I think you have to be careful with any politician, though. That's just generally speaking. But my thing is, take people at their word until they show you otherwise. I just take them.
Because, look, he said, and this is what I want my people to remember. Okay, if you, my people give him all kind. Oh, he got ahead of himself. Blah 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 blah. The man said, if you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black. That's what he said. And he said it was Charlemagne sitting there. And I was just like, oh, so this is another white person defining like how I'm supposed to experience my blackness. Let me just
put it this way. Like, he is a white dude. He's a 77-year-old white dude. What are you thinking? Yeah. What do you want from him?
I was getting in my mind.
Are you trying to, like, I'm just saying, do you want him to, like, you know, be pressing 300 pounds and shit? He's an old white man.
I want him to understand. I think I want him to understand at all times his privilege. Just like here, it's the I call it the living single syndrome.
I'm just saying. I think at the same time, when I see a lot of people denying his growth as a person.
He definitely has. I remember. First of all, Joe Biden is the exact same astrological sign as I am. He was born November 20th, 19 something.
Yeah,
so
something.
He's 80. He and I are very similar individuals.
Okay.
I've definitely seen his growth. I know the kind of growth a Scorpio has to go through.
Yeah.
But I feel like with that being said, he is 80. And so there should be some sort of like, he should, I just expect more from him because he is an elder. Just that alone. Just that alone. And
but that's the thing. His infrastructure bill is literally the most progressive.
And see, I'll have to rely on you because I don't really know very much about the political sphere these days.
Right. So he put forward a very ambitious infrastructure plan that is being tallied up right now, and it's reaching close to $4 trillion in spending. And you know, it's so big and so ambitious that it's hard to even state specific programs because it's so much. But the ones that stood out to me, one had to do with, the basic infrastructures of roads and trains and broadband internet access, which is one that's pretty major. Some things to deal with like healthcare workers and, the tax plans for, children. It's just like so much. And of course, the Republicans oppose it. That's just what they do. But the interest of the business class has, been interesting to me that they are for it. Mainly because these they were going to, the way he's paying for it is raising corporate taxes and taxes on the rich, but they don't seem to mind. I mean, the ones who have done the math realize like once these things are in place, which I believe wouldn't happen until like 2030 something, it's more than 10 or 15 years of infrastructure spending. Once these things are in place, they are likely to help them make more money. It's ultimately for the rich. So the fact that they're paying for it doesn't seem like they don't seem to be mad about it. Like, for the most part, the people who are a little bit more have that, they're selfish. I call it like an enlightened self-interest. Like, they're selfish and they care about their shit. At the same time, they're like, it really is the way it should be. Like, if you're the one benefiting from it, you should pay for it. Like,
it's, you know what, I think I want to just say thank you for clarifying that for me, because spirituality and politics do not mix in my head.
Yeah.
And so, because one of them seems to have more weight in my life than the other, I usually pay more attention to that particular sphere.
Yeah.
What I will say is this: I think that it's really hard to trust the altruism that's being practiced right now in today's day.
Right.
I think, and forgive me, because the trash man apparently want to start taking the trash at 11 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's how it goes.
I mean, anyway, but I think it's really hard, especially for people who identify as of color. We find it really hard to put a lot of trust into these systems because they seem to be so time intensive. There seems to, so there seems to be a sort of structure or plan to how things. I guess what I'm saying is that when I hear projections like by 2048, the majority of our people in this country will be, biracial or of color. It's because I know that sociologists have done the work to do that, but I also know that sociologists also create avenues for societal change. So we have to make sure that we are using as much prudence and as much like active listening when hearing about legislative practice as much as possible, because we don't. Paul Mooney said it best. If we went up there every 4 years and just chopped off the heads of the ones who was doing wrong, there wouldn't be no issues in Washington.
Right. No
color issues, no gender issues, none of that. It wouldn't be none of that.
Hi, thank you for listening to the podcast thus far. And I want to talk to you about one way that you can help support Male Media Mind through our affiliate program with Amazon. So during Pride Month, the month of June, we're reading the book The Velvet Rage. And it talks a lot about shame and gay culture. And I thought the juxtaposition of pride and shame would be perfect for our conversations about mental health and wellness. All during the month of June, we'll be talking about The Velvet Rage. And I'm sure going forward, even after June, this book is going to become a regular part of our conversations about the gay community and what it means to grow up and become a gay man. Living in shame isn't something that we often talk about, but it manifests its way through our behaviors and a lot of our issues as we grow up. So I hope that you enjoy the book. I certainly did. And there will be a link in the description of this podcast where you can click the link. You can purchase it from Amazon and we'll get a commission. All right, now back to our podcast. And I think this would be maybe a good transition into some of what we spoke about on our first conversation. Part of what really disturbed me and why I stepped away from M3 for so long was the Trump administration. I don't know what it was, but since a very young age, I had been interested in politics. I might have been that kid who, in school was like, I want to grow up to be the president. I didn't know that. No,
I voted for you.
But yeah, now realizing like how politics is, I would not want that for anyone, because the things I've heard, I can't remember who it was, and it'll come to me later, and I'll maybe put it in the notes or something. A young man who wanted to run for governor, and his entire life was planned around his ambition to be president. Where he went to school, what he did, growing up, his extracurricular activities. He structured his life from a very young age, from like the the school he went to, the major he chose, every little thing, and to make it where political opposition had nothing on him, you know. But then he's gay. And now he's married to this woman. And he wants to have sex with men. And he is, of course, doing it behind closed doors, you know. Yeah, because the narrative for a presidential candidate is not a gay man, you know.
Right.
So that is where I stand on my politics, is that I can't fit the narrative. So I know that it's not something that I was going to work for me, but I still find persuasion interesting, I guess. I find, you know, the crafting of a conversation interesting.
Same.
Yeah. So that's what a lot
if I
about
could interject, it's probably one of the most important things to me when it comes to human interaction, because it implies a certain, obviously a certain level of maturity, but also a certain level of compassion.
Well, that's the thing in politics. There are these advisors. That's all they do. I mean, it's propaganda, but I'm saying the idea is that they sit in a room, they talk to people, and they try to find the words that best communicate what they want to get done. That's all they do. I was saying that was what Frank Luntz, you know, he wrote this book. It's not what you say, it's what people hear. And I remember reading that, and it was, even though he was evil, or what we would call evil in our concept of what good and evil is, he was telling the truth. Like, it was just like, it's not, you know, when you have a conversation with someone, they bring to the table their experiences and the way they saw the world. So when you use certain words, you cannot just rely on your experience. You have to like investigate what their experiences were, so that you use the words that will communicate the ideas that you're trying to come across. And it was game changing for me. And that's why I love politics, because, you know, have you ever played the spin game where, you know, like,
you mean like,
no. It's like where you say something like, this food is delicious, you know, and you try to spin it. You use 3 words, one neutral, one positive, one negative. And you're like spinning it, you know, like,
never heard of it. Okay.
Yeah. So this was a thing in like maybe some communications courses I think people took, where, you know, you say, this is this food is interesting.
You better not come to my house talking about my food.
That's like a new, like it's like a way of spitting something that's nasty. He's like, that's like an interesting dish.
Precious. I feel you.
Oh, your food is precious. But yeah, like that sort of thing. I love food. Oh yeah, your daughter is so precious.
I just want to eat her up and throw her out.
But no, using words,
Well, see, the thing is, because I want us to definitely go back into, you know, the conversation that we talked about. You know, it's crazy because what you just described made politics that much more spiritual for me, because it's about, make no mistake, the word is God as a phrase means something different to me now. Now that I've removed myself away from a lot of doctrinal ideas, so what that means for me now is that the word is just an empty cup until we infuse it, you know, with a certain kind of potency and agency that can direct it to a particular way.
And that's like your lived experience you bring to the table, and then this word is how we communicate experience, but the experience is still with you, you know. Then the word is how you try to communicate that experience with someone else. But make no mistake, there's always this glass between you.
It's always a veil.
There's always this, you know,
because I'm not you. I'm not
exactly. So you try your best to make that glass as clear as possible. That's all you can do. You're always, you know, so words are a way of communicating.
Glass can get kind of dark though.
Exactly.
And regardless of whatever language you use, sometimes your internal language starts to become murky.
Yeah, that too. And that's another thing.
That's where
there's a lot of things there. Yeah, that's hard to even get into. Like so.
Well, but I think it's sort of related to what we're going to discuss, because you can have an inner compass, but then sometimes the compass is, you know, misaligned, and you don't really know.
You don't even know Yeah.
what was happening. But
So I was just saying that I have for a very long time been interested in politics and communications. That's what I majored in. And even when I wasn't working in journalism, I worked for a newspaper for a very short time, and then I ended up just doing call center work, and I still do that on and off now. But it's always been about relating to people and using words. And now, with the blogging, M3, have been doing that on and off now for about 6 years, and it's still a passion of mine. So when Donald Trump became president, I guess it didn't. I don't know the words. Let me think about it. I did not want to watch it. It seemed that everything that I had enjoyed before was now a mockery, a sham. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was just like, so now I need to find something else. And I guess, I don't know, I just couldn't find it within myself and whatever. And so, no, I had and then this is part I'm not necessarily sharing with everyone. I had an episode, which I have had mental health issues in the past, that got me into a very dark place for a very long time that I'm now just coming out of. I haven't really examined that yet. Mm-hmm. And I really do need to with a professional, but I am there, I'm in the process of, with a therapist, working all that out. But there are a lot of implications of, like you were saying, spiritual things that came with that. Because first of all, that wasn't the first episode I had in my life. That was the second one. The first one, I remember, and I can just say what happened. Disassociative manic episode where I institutionalized myself. I went to a hospital for help. And part of the things I saw, I was trying to rationalize and make understandable to people with the skills that I learned in school. And writing it down, I wrote a book. I did. And the book was completely crazy. Like, no one could understand what I was talking about. Even I looking at, I wrote a book. Huh. Okay. And, reading it after I, come out, I just realized, of course, I was disassociating. I was having all these ideas. I was working my best to, put these ideas down before I lost them, And so a lot of it was just a manic writing session. I know a lot of writers who actually kind of can control that mania. And when they're writing, like, this is what they do, they get into this flow state, and they, it is something that people do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I was doing. But of course it was all, as you would say, symbolic and very, disjointed. It didn't, fit into any sort of rhyme or reason. Yeah.
Going here. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So now I'm getting to the place where I need to explore that aspect of life, of that connection. So, when you reached out to me, I said, yeah, that's it. Let's talk.
Wow. Wow. Thanks, man. So that's really neat.
Yeah. And I've seen some of your videos and your podcasts, and, like, that was our first conversation, and it was real. And I'm ready to grow from there and just take it step by step. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the M3 Bearcast. This is by no means the end of my conversation with Terrard, but I wanted to break it up into smaller, more digestible chunks over a period of time. So if you're not already subscribed to the M3 Bearcast on your favorite podcatcher, go ahead and do that. And be sure to look forward to my further conversations with Terrard in the future. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.